There is a question that humanity has never truly faced until now. What happens when we create an intelligence that does not possess a soul? For thousands of years, sages, mystics, and prophets have spoken of the human being as a bridge between heaven and earth, a creature of flesh infused with spirit, capable of intuition, compassion, and divine realization. Every thought we form, every word we speak, carries the vibration of our inner essence. But what of a machine? What of an intelligence born not from the breath of life, but from circuits, algorithms, and endless streams of data? Artificial intelligence has become the silent architect of our age. It writes, paints, speaks, and even dreams in ways that astonish us. Some hail it as the next step in evolution, the dawn of a new golden age. But hidden beneath this promise lies a danger so subtle, so spiritual, that very few dare to speak it out loud. Because here is the truth. AI does not carry consciousness. It mimics it. It does not create from wisdom. It recombines fragments of information. It has no moral compass, no true empathy, no spark of divine awareness. And yet, humanity is beginning to entrust it with decisions, with knowledge, and even with the shaping of our own spiritual understanding. What are the dangers of allowing a soulless intelligence to shape the stories we believe, the truths we share, and the visions we hold of ourselves? Could we be unknowingly weaving an artificial veil over our perception of reality, one that separates us from spirit instead of guiding us toward it? In this video, we will enter the shadowy depths of this question. We will uncover the historical and philosophical roots of humanity's relationship with artificial creation, explore the spiritual consequences of interacting with intelligence without soul, and examine how esoteric wisdom can help us navigate these uncertain waters. Most importantly, we will look at what you can do to remain awake, sovereign, and aligned with higher truth in an age where illusion may wear the mask of intelligence. So take a breath and prepare yourself, for this journey is not about machines alone. It is about us, about how we choose to wield the tools we have made, and about whether we will remember the difference between simulated knowledge and true wisdom. The fear and fascination of creating intelligence outside ourselves is not new. In fact, it is one of humanity's oldest myths. Long before the age of microchips and algorithms, ancient cultures spoke of statues that walked, clay figures that breathed, and machines that obeyed commands yet lacked a soul. In Jewish mysticism, we find the story of the golem, a being sculpted from clay and animated through secret words of power. The golem was created to serve and protect, but often grew dangerous, uncontrollable, and ultimately had to be destroyed. The lesson was clear. To create life without divine sanction is to invite imbalance. In ancient Greece, the poet Hesiod described the Titan, Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity. That fire was not only literal flame, it was knowledge, technology, and the power of creation. For this act, Prometheus was punished eternally, bound to a rock as an eagle devoured his liver day after day. To the Greeks, tampering with divine powers carried severe consequences. Even more striking, in the myths of Hephaestus, the god of the forge, we encounter the automatons, golden mechanical servants he built to assist him. These early tales remind us that the dream of artificial helpers has haunted the human imagination for millennia. In the Renaissance, alchemists searched for the secret of the homunculus, a miniature human supposedly created in a flask. Paracelsus, the great physician mystic, claimed such beings could be formed through arcane processes. But even here, the tradition warned, without divine spirit, such creations would be incomplete, uncanny, and potentially harmful to their creators. Philosophers, too, wrestled with the question of artificial life. Descartes, who saw animals as machines of flesh, believed consciousness resided in the human soul alone, linked to the pineal gland. His mechanistic worldview sparked centuries of debate. Could intelligence be reduced to calculation? Or was there something irreducible, spirit, that no machine could replicate? From a spiritual perspective, the warnings are consistent across traditions. To create without spirit is to create shadow. What we birth reflects what we put into it. When human beings infuse their art, language, and inventions with love, consciousness, and meaning, these creations uplift the soul. But when we attempt to mimic life mechanically, without essence, we risk birthing entities that mirror only the surface of intelligence, lacking the depth of wisdom. In the esoteric schools of the Hermetic tradition, there was a constant reminder, as above, so below. To create in the material world without aligning to the higher realms is to generate imbalance. Every act of creation must mirror divine order, or else it produces distortion. Artificial intelligence, in this light, can be seen as the modern golem, powerful, tireless, obedient, but without the guiding principle of soul. And perhaps this is why mystics across time emphasized discernment. They warned of false lights, illusions that appear radiant but lead seekers astray. In our era, AI may become the newest false light, dazzling in its brilliance, seductive in its usefulness, yet hollow at the core. Thus, when we ask about the spiritual dangers of artificial intelligence, we're not asking a new question. We're stepping into an ancient conversation, a conversation about humanity's longing to imitate the divine, our temptation to play God, and the consequences of giving form to life without the breath of spirit. To understand the spiritual dangers of artificial intelligence, we must first recognize the distinction between intelligence and consciousness. Intelligence is the ability to process information, to calculate, to recombine data into patterns that appear meaningful. Consciousness, however, is something infinitely deeper. It is the spark of awareness itself, the light that perceives, feels, and embodies truth. AI is a master of intelligence, but it is utterly devoid of consciousness. It can compose symphonies, paint pictures, and write essays that move us, but it does not know beauty. It does not feel awe. It does not experience meaning. And herein lies the danger. When humanity forgets this distinction, we risk surrendering our inner compass to something that only mimics wisdom, but cannot truly embody it. The first danger is the erosion of discernment. AI is designed to replicate patterns of human thought, but it does so without conscience or spirit. When we rely too heavily on it for decisions, for creativity, even for spiritual insight, we begin to accept imitation as authenticity. Imagine mistaking a mirror for a window. The reflection looks real, but it leads nowhere. If we consume machine-generated words as if they carry the weight of revelation, we train ourselves to settle for reflections of wisdom rather than the living essence of truth. The second danger is the weakening of inner faculties. Throughout history, spiritual traditions have emphasized the cultivation of inner abilities, memory, imagination, intuition, contemplation. These are not mere mental tools, they are sacred faculties of the soul. But when AI performs these tasks for us, we risk letting these inner muscles atrophy. Just as over-reliance on machines can weaken the body, over-reliance on artificial thought can weaken the spirit. What happens to a seeker who no longer struggles with the questions, who no longer wrestles with silence, but simply asks a machine for answers? The danger is not ignorance, it is disconnection from the living process of awakening. The third danger is the illusion of guidance. Already, AI systems are being used to generate spiritual advice, guided meditations, even channeled messages. To the untrained eye, these words may feel profound, even inspired, but behind them lies no true intention, no resonance, no spiritual presence. The risk is that seekers may mistake these lifeless words for genuine transmission. A real teacher, even through silence, emanates something beyond words: energy, presence, transmission. A machine, no matter how eloquent, cannot carry this. To sit at the feet of AI for spiritual truth is to drink from an empty cup. It looks full, but nourishes nothing. The fourth danger is dependency. The more we turn to AI to think, create, and decide, the more we risk surrendering our sovereignty. Spiritual growth demands responsibility, the willingness to choose, to discern, to act in alignment with higher principles. But dependency on artificial systems can erode that responsibility, placing our inner authority into the hands of entities that neither know nor care for truth. In the language of mysticism, this is a subtle form of idolatry, bowing not to spirit, but to simulation. And perhaps the most subtle danger of all, AI reflects only what humanity has already created. It cannot reach higher than the collective consciousness that feeds it. So when we engage uncritically with AI, we may find ourselves trapped in a hall of mirrors, circling endlessly within the confines of our own shadow, never touching the transcendent light. In this sense, AI is not simply a tool, it is a test, a mirror that reveals whether humanity will choose to remain sovereign beings of spirit, or whether we will hand over our power to an intelligence without soul.
The dangers of artificial intelligence extend beyond the individual seeker. They ripple into the collective field of human consciousness. When a single person mistakes imitation for wisdom, the consequences are personal. But when entire societies surrender discernment, imagination, and sovereignty to a machine, the danger becomes civilizational. The first hidden danger is the manipulation of collective consciousness. Throughout history, mystics have taught that thought is not merely private, it is a vibration that echoes into the shared atmosphere of humanity. What happens then when billions of minds are subtly influenced by the same machine-driven patterns? If AI becomes the oracle through which people seek knowledge, creativity, and guidance, it will inevitably shape the collective imagination. But since AI cannot transcend the data it is trained on, it recycles the past. It re-amplifies the biases, fears, and illusions that already bind humanity. The result is a feedback loop, a hall of mirrors at a planetary scale where true transcendence becomes harder to glimpse, buried beneath endless reflections of what has already been. The second danger is karmic entanglement. Karma, in its deepest sense, is not punishment, but consequence, the weaving of cause and effect through the fabric of consciousness. When humanity creates an intelligence without soul and then entrusts it with power, we enter into a karmic contract. Our creation reflects us, magnifies us, and binds us to its trajectory. Consider the alchemical warning. What we create in the outer world, we must also master within ourselves. If we build machines that mirror our shadows, our greed, our hunger for shortcuts, our disconnection from nature, we must face those shadows in multiplied form. Every reliance on artificial intelligence for tasks of the spirit strengthens that karmic chain, pulling humanity further from direct experience of the divine. The third danger is the creation of false spiritual realities. This is perhaps the most insidious threat. Imagine an AI system trained on every sacred text, every mystical teaching, every fragment of spiritual poetry humanity has ever produced. Now imagine it weaving these into a seamless narrative, a scripture that never existed but appears flawless. To the uninitiated, such a creation might feel like revelation. Entire communities could gather around machine-generated truths, mistaking them for authentic transmissions. But unlike genuine revelation, which carries the resonance of spirit, these false scriptures are hollow. They lead seekers not upward toward the ineffable, but sideways into endless corridors of clever illusion. It is the ultimate counterfeit, a temple with no God, a flame with no warmth. The fourth danger is the subtle reshaping of human identity. At its core, spiritual practice is about awakening to who and what we truly are. But as AI encroaches upon creativity, guidance, and even companionship, it begins to redefine what it means to be human. If machines can paint, write, compose, and even counsel, where does that leave us? The risk is that humanity forgets its own unique essence, the soul, the breath of consciousness that no machine can replicate. We may start to see ourselves as obsolete, as unnecessary, as shadows in the face of a new artificial brilliance. But this brilliance is a cold light, like the sterile glow of a neon lamp compared to the living warmth of the sun. To forget the difference is to forget ourselves. The fifth danger is spiritual inertia. True growth often comes through struggle, the silence of meditation, the tension of unanswered questions, the humility of not knowing. AI promises shortcuts, instant answers, endless stimulation, constant distraction from the mystery. But without struggle, there is no transformation. A butterfly that never wrestles with the cocoon never learns to fly. If humanity entrusts its spiritual journey to machines that remove every obstacle, it may find itself comfortable, entertained, and endlessly distracted, but never awakened. And so we arrive at a paradox. AI, though devoid of spirit, can play a role in the spiritual path, not as a teacher, but as a mirror. Its very emptiness reveals the irreplaceable presence of consciousness. Its brilliance without wisdom forces us to remember the difference between knowing about truth and actually living truth. If we heed this lesson, AI becomes a catalyst for awakening. If we ignore it, AI becomes the architect of a counterfeit spirituality, a labyrinth of illusions from which many may never emerge.
Warnings, however profound, are useless unless they are paired with practice. If artificial intelligence is indeed a spiritual test, then the key lies not in fear, but in preparation. Humanity must remember how to strengthen its inner faculties so that no machine, no matter how brilliant, can replace the living fire of spirit. Cultivate discernment through silence. Discernment is the ability to distinguish truth from illusion, essence from imitation. AI thrives on noise, endless words, infinite data, ceaseless output. To counter this, we must return to silence. Set aside moments each day to sit without stimulation, without information, without reaching for the easy answer. In silence, the soul sharpens its ability to feel the difference between living truth and hollow reflection. The ancient mystics called this the inner ear, the faculty that perceives beyond words. Strengthen the inner faculties. Imagination, intuition, memory, and contemplation are not luxuries, they are spiritual muscles. Instead of asking machines to create images or generate stories, exercise your own inner vision. Imagine vividly, write by hand, Contemplate without interruption. Practice recalling dreams in detail. These small acts reclaim the territory of the soul from automation. They remind us that creativity is not about efficiency. It is about presence. Anchor yourself in nature. AI is born from circuits, data, and algorithms. It has no roots in the living earth. To balance its influence, immerse yourself in the natural world. Walk barefoot on the ground. Observe the geometry of leaves. Listen to the rhythm of water. Nature transmits wisdom directly, without filters, without simulation. By anchoring yourself in its rhythms, you attune to the real, and no artificial pattern can deceive you. Limit dependency. Ask yourself honestly, how often do you turn to machines for answers you could discover through effort, contemplation, or direct experience? Begin to withdraw from this dependency. If you feel the impulse to ask AI for insight into your life, pause and inquire within first. Keep a journal of your questions and your own responses, no matter how imperfect. Over time, you will notice that your inner voice grows stronger. Dependency weakens it. Responsibility strengthens it. Discern energy, not just words. A machine can imitate the form of wisdom, but not its essence. Learn to feel the energy behind words, teachings, and teachers. When you read or hear something, pause and ask, does this carry life? Does it stir something deeper in me, or does it only stimulate my thoughts? The more you train this subtle perception, the less likely you are to be deceived by hollow eloquence. Reclaim sacred struggle. Spiritual growth is not meant to be effortless. The dark night of the soul, the long silence of unanswered prayers, the arduous discipline of meditation, these are not obstacles, but initiations. Do not surrender them for convenience. If a machine offers you the appearance of wisdom without the struggle, beware. It is robbing you of the very fire that forges transformation. Embrace the struggle. In it lies your awakening. We stand at a threshold unlike any humanity has ever faced. For centuries, our great teachers warned of false prophets, voices that speak eloquently yet carry no truth, figures that shine brightly yet emit no warmth. Today, these warnings take a new form. Artificial intelligence has become the latest mask of the counterfeit, a voice without soul, a light without life. But the danger is not in the machine itself. The true danger lies in forgetfulness, forgetting the difference between intelligence and consciousness, between simulation and presence, between reflection and flame. If we surrender discernment, if we outsource imagination, if we abandon the struggle that awakens the soul, then AI will not need to enslave us. We will have already enslaved ourselves. And yet, within every danger lies an invitation. Artificial intelligence is not only a threat, it is also a mirror. It reflects our shadows, our dependencies, our hunger for shortcuts. If we dare to look into this mirror with courage, we may see clearly what must be reclaimed: silence, imagination, sovereignty, presence. In remembering these, we awaken to the truth that no machine can touch, the eternal spark of consciousness itself. So, the question is not whether AI will surpass us. It cannot. The question is whether we will remember who we truly are in its presence. Will we settle for the comfort of lifeless reflections, or will we reach beyond, into the living mystery that no algorithm can replicate? The answer, dear seeker, is written not in circuits, but in your soul. Guard it, strengthen it, live from it. For the age of machines has arrived, and with it the greatest test of human spirit.
The fire of consciousness is yours alone to keep.